Hey Shooby-Doodlers, how are you doing? I've been sorting out my archive of artwork and I've brought these two boxes down from the attic to share with you. And inside the boxes are the artwork and dummies and roughs and all sorts of stuff for my Lydia books, which were the first books that I wrote and illustrated. They came out in the Oxford Reading Tree way back in 1987. But now I'm going to open the boxes and share the secrets that lie inside. But let's not talk about it. Let's do it. Well, these are the 6 books as they came out originally in the Oxford Reading Tree in 1987. The Oxford Reading Tree was a sort of groundbreaking and very popular reading scheme that started back in 1987, I think, or 86, possibly 86. And I was just very lucky to be at the right place at the right time. Let's look inside this box. I think these are probably the very first Lydia books. They are. There's just 3 of them, Lydia and the Balloon, Lydia and her cat. It's quite hard to get this all in chronological order. I made these little books and started taking them to show people. 10th of November 83 for Lydia, a natural born fruitcake. So Lydia is my niece and she was about this age. She was in baby grows and I was at art college and I was going to stay with my brother in the I was going to stay with my brother in the vacations, in the holidays. And they had a tiny little house. And so I would sleep on the floor in the children's room because that was the only space. And eventually I went up in the attic, in the loft space, and had to climb up an old ladder, a rickety old ladder. And I just seeing here, I have this box in my front room now, Walter Edmund Rayner. This was my grandfather's military box. So one time I was staying, Lydia had got really into teething. If you know anything about babies, they don't like teething. And so I would get woken up obviously sort of early in the morning, sort of 2-3 in the morning with Lydia crying because of her teeth. And so I would take her downstairs and make her a cup of tea and give her some Calpol, paracetamol, liquid paracetamol, and that would sort of sort her out. And I'd kind of tell her stories about what we'd done that day. So it was about a little hole in her holes in the seams of her clothes. So they're passed down clothes and they're a bit stretched, and how the wind would get in. So maybe it was a really windy night, and I would tell her sort of stories about what we've been doing with her and her bigger sister, going out feeding ducks and stuff like that. And then the little sigh Lydia went back to sleep. Lydia and the Balloon. So I thought, I can't remember. So maybe this was based on something that happened. I can't remember. Oh, Lydia was yeah. So this is totally inappropriate. You see, I was still at art college. And you can't have stories about babies coming down and drinking alcohol. That's nice, thought Lydia. I'm shocked, actually. Lydia was helping herself to some pudding. She noticed something on the wall. She's having a little bit more drink. She's going to be paralytic. Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that happened in those days. I think children would find little sips of things and drink them. Maybe they still happen. I don't know. I do remember her big sister having been going around drinking lots of things one lunchtime, getting very, very dizzy. Yeah. Lydia thought she'd like to go back to bed, and so she did. Very sensible. Lydia and her cat. So their cat was imaginatively called Stripey Cat. Stripes was a lovely, lovely natured cat who would always come and see the children. So this story is the one that really kind of got it going, and this is almost as it happened in the end. But as I was writing these stories and illustrating them, then, as I say, Lydia was kind of this age, so she was 18 months or something, 18 months to 2 years. Didn't have a lot of hair, and she was a baby, definitely a baby. And as I kept working on these Stories. I just love how rough and quick and simple these are. You can't do this anymore. Anyway, Lydia and the cat both went back to sleep, very sensible. Lydia's cat was very cosy. So I did these little books, and I took them to my publisher then, ANC Black, who really rather liked them. These are some more here. I think these are blank here that I was going to do. So this is another set here. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're up to 5 stories now. So I'd obviously been told, oh, we need more stories and need to make a set. And how far have I gone? So, and again, she's still a baby, and the stories are getting sort of a bit tighter. What's the date here? 1984. So this is a year later, I think. So we got now the balloon. Still got alcohol involved. And I haven't even got any drawings in there. So Lydia and the ducks. So this was something that we did an awful lot of, just going to feed the ducks. And it's kind of what you do with toddlers, isn't it? You go and feed the ducks. There are hundreds of them. They have plenty of old bread. Someone at the door. Lydia and the lost letters. So these are really just to sort of show or give a feeling for a little set. Part of doing this, I think, was for me to feel this is a real thing. These are real books. And it's not, because it was all still a dream at this time to want to be to want to be a published author, I suppose. These are getting much better. They're getting very, very short. The text needed to be very short, so these are painted very, very quickly. No date. And here's another one. So the balloon, she's still getting drunk. She's still a baby as well. Lydia goes to the shop, so that's kind of getting there. This little thing. I need to do this, I need to do that. So it's planning and thinking about it. Does this have a date? I wonder. It's so helpful when there's a date. So what happened? I think this set here, or is it one of these sets? Let me think. I think that's the one. So yeah. So here she is. She's still a toddler. I've done quite a lot of this, haven't I? 1985. Lydia and the ducks. So she's still a baby here. We got a threatening swan. This is this is a nightmare from when I was a child, being chased by a swan. I think bit scary. Lydia goes to the shop, so she's getting a bit older there. Oh, we've still got some here where she's still a baby. Lydia and the cat again, 1985. This is really light, fresh, kind of just draw it. And this is another one. So, and the big wide world. I don't remember that. 84. The catch on Lydia's get. But inside, you see, this is getting quite tight again. So by this stage, I had editors who were thinking, "Hey, this is nice. Yeah, we like this. Let's work on this." I remember first going to one, and they were a book packager. So there's a lady. She would package up a book and then sell it to a publisher, the whole thing, and sell a big edition. And she said, it's great because you just get a big wad of money when it gets done, rather than waiting for all these royalties to come in. So that's good, but that didn't happen. So I went to ANC Black, and I was working on another book with them, and I'd done a couple of things with ANC Black, and so they were really helpful. And they really wanted to do this as a little series. And you can see here, Lydia and her mother are making shopping lists. Something happened. Here, look, what a rainy day. This is the garden. And so I had done all of these, and then these books here were taken to the Bologna Children's Book Festival to look for foreign translations, potential foreign translations, which brings the unit cost down. And back in those days, a colour picture book just didn't go ahead without foreign translations, unless they knew it was going to sell hundreds of thousands of copies in English. I was really surprised later to find that they'd taken it to Bologna and they had changed the text. And they changed the text quite a lot. And they made it in the present tense, whereas I'd had it in the past tense before. They changed the whole thing to the present tense, which I found really awkward. And something about it, I just didn't like what they'd done to it. And they came back and said, oh, terribly sorry. They load up the car, but the box is very heavy. It just didn't seem right to me. And they just completely changed my text. And they came back and said, terribly sorry, we're not going to be able to do this. Take it to another publisher and see if somebody else can maybe publish them. And so I did. Well, I sort of did. I had planned to go and visit, I think it was Octopus Books. They were a bunch of sharks. I did another book with them, in fact. And they were in London, so I was going to go and show them my portfolio and take these books to show them. And I was living in Wild West Wales, so I went and stayed with my brother on the way, which meant that I'd got the train down to Oxford. So I thought, I'm going to Oxford. I will phone up Oxford University Press and say, would you like me to come in and show you my portfolio? And they said, yes, please, thank you very much. So I came in, a very innocent young illustrator. I was actually signing on the dole, getting sort of government maintenance thing at the time. And I went in and showed them my work. And they went, oh, that's very nice, that's very nice. And then they saw this, and they said, what is this? And I sort of told them, and they went, oh, it was one of these sets anyway. And I said, oh, well, I'm taking them to London to show to another publisher tomorrow. Oh, said the editor who was looking at my work, do you mind if I go and show this to somebody else? I'll be back in a minute. So off she went, and I sat there feeling a bit awkward. And then she came back with about 3 other people who all came in, big smiles on their faces. Hello. And they said, well, we really like these. And I said, oh. And they said, are you prepared to let us have them? I said, well. And they explained that the very next week, or in the next fortnight, the Oxford Reading Tree was launching, and they needed little books like these, short books, short texts, to go in what they call their branch library. So they weren't officially in the reading scheme, but they would be available alongside the reading scheme and sort of worked out to be in the right level, reading levels to go along with it. So they were kind of real books and not reading scheme books, but they'd be kind of graded to the level of the books that the kids were reading in the scheme. So I said, well, that sounds fantastic. And so I hid them the next day when I went to see the other publishers. And then they came back to me, and we started working on them. And they said she shouldn't be a baby, she needs to be a toddler. So that was the first thing that changed. And so I started working on that. And these are the galleys of the galley proofs of the covers. Lydia and her garden. So she changed quite a lot, and I love these now. I look at them because they're so innocent. They're so fresh, and I think it's really hard to keep that looseness. And maybe I just need to use a thinner pen. It's a much thinner pen than I use these days. It used to be a rotary isograph 0.25, I think, the white one. And these are the galley proofs of the insides as well. So they came out, and I was absolutely thrilled. A pack of 6 arrived in the post, and I opened them up, and my mum was there, and she was saying, well, that's fantastic, that's fantastic. And I was feeling so proud of myself, and she said, so what's next? And I realised that you can't just stop. So anyway, so these are now out of print with Oxford University Press, and I have made them available again, and you can get them in a new large print size from Amazon. I just thought it would be nice to know that you can still get them in one form or another. They don't do any smaller than this, so I've made them available in this. So you'll find links down below to Amazon. So here we have the text, roughs, artwork, all sorts of stuff in here. So this is how the books came. This is an original pack, still in the original wrapping, stage 3 pack A. The Early Learning Centre, which was a high street store which had lots of sort of worthy educational stuff for kids, like an proper worthy educational right-on toy shop for kids, really for parents, I think. Really, if you went in there, you knew you were buying sort of something educational for your kids. And they did this series, they did this bind-up version. It actually says Oxford University Press, about ELC and Early Learning Centre. So they commissioned this bind-up, 3 stories in one, which is the way I've done the new edition. So they then came out. So we got in here. I don't know, I think that's a fairly recent sketch, that one. What have we got? These are the bromides for all the copyright text and stuff like that for the covers. Just move that over there. And here we have a great pile of roughs. And I didn't know how to do this. Nobody was teaching you to do this at art college. It wasn't actually an illustration course, but it was de facto. Everybody wanted to be an illustrator. But they didn't teach you really how to put books together and to plan or anything like that. So I really worked this out myself over time, just repetition and doing these little thumbnail boxes. This kind of thing is really, really useful if you are planning to do something like this, because if you're going to do it full size, it's a lot of hard work. So little thumbnail sketches you can draw much more quickly. And you can see it. So what I did was I got a piece of paper and I folded it in half, and then I put that in the typewriter and typed it. So this is all hand typed. There's no computers involved. I didn't have a computer at this stage. The ZX81 was out, but nothing that you could really use for printing was out at that time. So this is all done on the typewriter, or by hand. Oh, the letterhead there. So this is 1985. Goodness me. With one post a day, you couldn't wait for emails. You just had to sit and wait for the gate to creak. Pickling. And the postman would come and deliver the post, or not deliver the post, which is always a bit, oh, no post today. That's that. What do we have here? This is a bit later, I think. So this is another layout, and this is just so that you can see the whole thing. This is 1985. It's so you can see the whole thing in front of you and see what needs to change, and how it's looking really. What have we got there? Oh, some little pencil sketches slid in there. Various letters from Oxford University Press. So, dear Shoo, I need 6 more books quickly. Perhaps we should get together again and hatch a plot. Michael Bolton. Goodness me, that goes back. So that turned into a series of books called Victor, which I'll be telling you about soon. Now, this is a whole folder of Lydia artwork. And these are the folders for each story. And they're like that. We've got lots of Chinese on there because they all got printed in Singapore or China or somewhere. And I'm not going to go through these now. I'm going to go through each of these individually in their own. You'll find up here and down below you'll find there's a link to the Lydia playlist, so you can find all these if you want. I'm also going to be doing readings of these over on my story channel as well. You'll find links down below for that as well. This I think I've shown before. This is called Lydia's Bible again. And these are just learning to draw her from all sorts of different angles, but this is so tight here. somehow I managed to loosen up from there. And these are other variations. And what is so bizarre when I look at this is meant to be Lydia. This actually looks like her younger sister, who wasn't even born at the time. And there are little things here that really do look like her at times. So this is just working out and thinking of clothes and things like that. And learning to turn the character. That is such a trick. And it's in your head. You've got to get this model of the character in your head that you can kind of turn around and draw from any angle. So this is kind of, learning to do that, different angles. The hair's not right. At the time, the news was being read by a lady called Julia Somerville. And so I stole her hairstyle, which was also very similar to the one in Dynasty, the main female character in Dynasty, the blonde, and she had this hair like that. So I kind of eventually stole that haircut, and that's when it really started happening and started to get this character right. This look here, this is just so like Lydia's little sister. When I was originally doing all this and visiting and staying at my brother's house, Lydia and I, we just got on incredibly well. I don't know why. We just kind of understood each other, I think, even though she was a tiny baby. And I don't know. You just get that, don't you? Sometimes. So there's all this stuff here. You see, it's trying to working out from these lines. This is really weird. This feels more like her bigger sister to me. And now it's sort of changing here. It's sort of getting there slowly. A lot of this is tracing, because you don't want to. It's hard work starting drawing from scratch. So tracing makes things a lot easier. You can just keep tracing through. So that's sort of there. I can see what I'm trying to do, but with as little pen work as possible is what I really need to do. And again, here, see, quite a lot of pen work. But the expressions are getting there. It's just learning to turn the character. And then here I have a whole lot of artwork that didn't make it. So just have a look at these. I think didn't like that nose, I don't think. And this is just too tight somehow. She's very pretty there, though, I think. It's just tightened up. And again here, I think this is tightened up. She's quite sweet there. I think this was one that, definitely from the finished work, but it didn't make it for some reason. I can't think why. There's something wrong. No, I don't know. Maybe it's all these marks. I don't. And that's the haircut's all wrong there. And that again, it's just too tight somehow. And this is too young there. I think this is like a sample page, really. I think that's much lighter, isn't it? Much freer, but something went wrong there. I don't think I like the bread. I think I had it red in the end. These are potential covers, and again she's a baby here, and so that's just not right. Don't think I like the cat's nose. And again she's a baby. I don't know, there's something there I didn't like. I think she needed to be walking rather than just sort of standing. Oh, look at all the ducks, said Lydia. I think the bread had to be red. There's something here tells me that it's just not finished, because there should be more on the duck's wings. I think something went wrong. I didn't like it. I like that wallpaper. That's great. What have we got here? Yeah, no. Oh, it's slightly creepy, isn't it? There's things like that, appropriateness, that you kind of learn in children's books. It's self-editing, I suppose, and you start out. Nobody tells you, "Oh, that's not right." I'm going to show you some dummies of books that didn't make it for just that reason. Sort of eventually. I don't know. I think I didn't like the green around the back, and that's gone all sort of wrong there. So, oh, surface unstretched. That's like a test for the paper or something. There's a tiny pinhole there that's been up on my notice board because I used to smoke 20-30 Marlboros a day in those days. It's just, that's nicotine. Lydia and Mum went for a walk. There we go. Here we are. This is too tight. It's too tight. And here's a potential cover again. And she's a baby, which is just not right. And still haven't got this sideways view of the cat. It's really quite difficult. Let's turn these around. That's just too grey and brown and drab. Again, and she's a baby again as well, but it's still very drab. I think I didn't like that house in the background because that kind of takes you out of the story. You think, oh, what's that house over there? And you should be concentrating on the ducks. There we are. That's much better. But I didn't like that for some reason. And again, I had to drop this green background. It was just too much. And nowadays, well, I mean, then you could put all that in there. You know, it was called a mechanical tint. You could do all that in the background, but now you can do that easily in Photoshop. But I didn't know that then. So there you go. I will go through all those individual folders and tell you about the story behind each one and little details and things, and show you the original artwork for each one. There you go. That's a massive trip down memory lane for me, and thanks for still being here and watching. I'm going to go through the individual folders of artwork one by one and put them up here in the Lydia playlist, so you can find them all there. And you can also find links down below for all the stories that I'm putting over on the Story channel. Thanks again for watching. Click down there and make sure you're subscribed to the Shoo Rayner drawing channel. Keep coming back for lots more videos every week. In the meantime, keep drawing, practice. Keep reading and doing books and illustration and stuff like that. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.